Nancy, are you really going to divorce Ryan and go abroad for further studies? In the quiet living room, Nancy Sue looked at Mrs. Sullivan's surprised face across from her and nodded. Yes, Aunt Sullivan. And as you know, I wasn't the one who was supposed to marry him in the first place. For Ryan, I was just an unexpected stand-in, a substitute when the real bride didn't show up. Now that she's back, he's been very happy lately, so it's time for me to go. Outside, fine snow was falling gently, creating a beautiful winter scene. Nancy smiled lightly. Going abroad to study has always been my dream anyway. Mrs. Sullivan looked at the young woman before her, remembering 3 years ago when Fiona Quinn, who was supposed to be the bride, ran away abroad on Ryan's wedding day. Just as Ryan was standing awkwardly at the altar, red-eyed and not knowing what to do, Nancy put on an ill-fitting wedding dress and slowly walked up to the stage. Full of apology, she picked up the microphone and apologized to all the guests. I'm so sorry, there was traffic on the way, I'm late. It was this act that saved Ryan's face and the Sullivan family's reputation. Mrs. Sullivan sighed deeply and asked uncertainly, will Ryan agree to the divorce? Nancy shook her head with a smile. I already have the divorce agreement. After all, she had sent the divorce papers half a month ago. At that time, Ryan was in such a hurry to finish work and go see Fiona that he signed without even looking, and left. Now, she just had to wait 7 more days to get the divorce certificate, and then she would be free. After all, the Sullivan family, for 3 generations, couldn't go abroad due to the confidential nature of their work. So once she went abroad, she and Ryan would never have to see each other again. Just as Mrs. Sullivan was about to speak, a magnetic male voice suddenly came from behind the two of them. Nancy, what are you chatting about with Mom? Nancy turned around and saw Ryan, whom she hadn't seen for days, in a black suit walking towards them. Ryan. Seeing her son approach, Mrs. Sullivan was about to step forward to scold him. Why are you here? With 3 parts surprise and 7 parts reassurance, Nancy stood up and gave Mrs. Sullivan a pleading look, interrupting her at the right moment. I missed you, so I came to pick you up on the way. Ryan's eyes were a bit guilty. Actually, he had come on purpose after learning of Nancy's whereabouts. After saying goodbye to the worried Mrs. Sullivan, the two took their bags and left the Sullivan family mansion. On the way back, heavy rain beat against the car windows, but inside it was completely silent. Ryan was silent for a long time before he finally spoke. Nancy, actually, Fiona and I are over. It's just that she just came back to the country and had heart surgery a few years ago, so her health isn't good. As an old friend, I just went to help her settle in, so I hope you can understand. Nancy looked out at the rain blurring her view through the window and nodded. If only she hadn't seen how excited Ryan was when he dropped everything to run and meet Fiona the day she returned. If only she hadn't seen Ryan sell the watch he had used for years and exchange it for a cheap bracelet Fiona had given him. If only. There were too many if onlys. Nancy no longer had any expectations or trust. The car was quiet for a moment before Ryan spoke again. Nancy, what was that document you had me sign half a month ago? As soon as he finished speaking, Nancy turned to look at Ryan, her eyes 3 parts surprised and 7 parts bitter smile. He only remembered to ask now? But then again, since Fiona came back, how could he care about anything else? Nancy was about to speak when Ryan's phone suddenly rang. Seeing the name displayed on the car screen, Ryan's face suddenly became tense. It's okay, answer it. Maybe it's something important? Nancy looked out the window, appearing unconcerned, which made Ryan suddenly feel afraid. But in the end he still answered the call, with the car's speakers automatically on. Ryan, I miss you so much it hurts. Can we meet? Hearing the coquettish tone on the other end, Ryan's slender fingers gripping the steering wheel turned slightly white, and his expression suddenly turned cold. Fiona, I'm married now. I've told you many times, don't talk to me in that tone. There was silence on the other end for a moment before Fiona said, but Ryan, I was supposed to be the bride at that wedding back then. The car suddenly screeched to a halt in the middle of the road, the tires making a huge sound as they skidded on the ground. In 3 years of marriage, this was the first time Nancy had seen Ryan lose control. He shouted at the screen, but you left me all alone. The phone went silent for a moment. A moment later, the voice on the other end became a bit choked up. I'm sorry. My health wasn't good at the time and I didn't want to worry you. I didn't know it would have such serious consequences. Ah, Ryan, my heart hurts so much. It's okay, just let me die like this. Then I won't bother you anymore, and you can live happily with that substitute of mine. Soon, there was no more sound from the other end of the phone. Ryan immediately panicked and looked at Nancy. Nancy spoke first. It's fine, I'll take a taxi back. You go see her, don't let anything really happen to her. Ryan still felt somewhat guilty and said softly, I'm not going to see her. I just remembered there's an urgent matter at the company, so I'm going there for a bit. I'll come back to be with you after I'm done. Nancy nodded and opened the car door to get out. Watching his car speed away, Nancy stood in the rain holding an umbrella, her eyes dimming slightly. A moment later, she gave a bitter smile and started walking towards home, over 10 miles away. 3 years. It was time to end it. 3 years ago, she had put on that ill-fitting wedding dress and married a man who couldn't even remember her name. Relatives and friends privately said Nancy was pitiful, saying she was just a substitute for her husband's true love. But in the 3 years since, the two of them had spent time together under the moonlight and stars, dreaming of the future. Nancy thought she was loved, but now, Nancy clearly knew she was wrong. Since that was the case, she chose to let Ryan go. It was also liberating herself. Thunder split the night sky, followed immediately by a downpour that swept over like a tidal wave, also sweeping away Nancy's last bit of affection for Ryan. Nancy slept alone all night, and Ryan still hadn't returned by noon the next day. When she woke up, it was still raining outside. Nancy stayed at home all day, calmly deleting all the posts about her married life on social media platforms. Just as she finished cleaning up, she saw Fiona, who had threatened to die yesterday, suddenly post on social media. What's it like to be pampered by your ex-boyfriend? She included a grid of 9 photos. In the first, the usually cold and indifferent Ryan was feeding her porridge. In the second, the normally aloof Ryan was sitting by her bedside, holding her hand tightly. In the third, the usually arrogant Ryan was kneeling before her, helping her take medicine with eyes full of distress. The fourth was a photo of a pile of luxury goods, each worth at least tens of millions. Fiona had written on it, "Thanks to Ryan's connections, I'm not angry or upset anymore." The beautiful woman in the photo smiled sweetly, looking like the happiest princess on a phone call. Many people in the comments section were extremely envious and posted sour remarks. Left and experienced hardships, returned and still true love. Fiona, did you save the galaxy in your past life? Nonsense. This must be at least 10 galaxies. Fiona, how did you do it? How can you make your ex still so devoted? Besides the envy, there were naturally those who wanted to mock Nancy. Nancy just glanced over casually, and a few people's comments caught her eye. I wonder what Miss Sue would think if she saw this. What could a substitute think? Did she really think that by going up to save face and be the bride, she could truly win the heart of the great Mr. Sullivan? She's probably dying of jealousy seeing this. How long do you bet before this lapdog shows up? I bet 10 minutes. I bet 5 minutes. I bet 1 minute. She's probably already downstairs. I'll bet my new Lamborghini. Many people followed along excitedly, with the stakes getting higher and higher. But Nancy just smiled resignedly and quickly typed out a few words on her phone. I bet she'll never show up in her lifetime. Her words stirred up a storm, with many people immediately messaging to ask if she was joking. Nancy simply turned off her phone and stopped looking at any messages. Instead, she turned to make herself a bowl of noodles. At that moment, her phone suddenly rang. Nancy didn't answer, but the phone kept ringing incessantly for 5 or 6 minutes before finally stopping. But soon after, the housekeeper Mrs. Zhang came in looking troubled, holding her own phone. "Ma'am, the master wants you to answer the phone." Only then did Nancy pick up the phone and answer. "Nancy, it's all a misunderstanding. I've already had Fiona delete the post. Don't overthink it. She wasn't feeling well yesterday, that's why I didn't come back. Nothing happened between us." Ryan's anxious voice came through the phone. The moment he saw Nancy's comment, he had panicked. Nancy looked at the noodles she had made and calmly said, "I made noodles. Are you coming back to eat?" Ryan was stunned on the other end before replying, "I'm glad you're not angry. You can eat the noodles yourself. Fiona's heart is hurting again, so I'm taking her to the hospital. Don't worry, we're really just free dash." Before he could finish, Fiona's anxious voice came through from the other end. "Ryan, where are you? I can't see you. Did I lose you again? My heart feels so uneasy." The call was hurriedly hung up, leaving only Ryan's very anxious voice to the other person. "Fiona, I'm here. You didn't lose me." Looking at the disconnected call, Nancy sent Ryan a message. "That document you asked about yesterday is in the glove compartment of your passenger seat. You can open it and see what it is." It wasn't until 2 hours later that Ryan finally replied with one sentence. "No need. Whatever you had me sign, I'm sure it's not to harm me." This meant he wouldn't look at it. Yes, right now he just wanted to be by Fiona's side. Why would he look at anything unrelated to Fiona? Even if that divorce agreement was right at his fingertips. In the afternoon, Nancy drove with a truck delivering supplies to the orphanage where she grew up. Nancy had been an orphan since childhood and grew up here. The children were very happy to see Nancy come, and all ran up to cling to her and share their experiences. After spending time with the children, she went to the director's office to say goodbye. "Mom, I'm going abroad for further studies." The director was very happy. Nancy had been a top student in physics at Tsinghua University, but had suddenly given up going abroad to get married. The director had regretted it for a long time. "Nancy, that's wonderful." The director held Nancy's hand, smiling with satisfaction. But then she thought of something and looked worried. "But, you going abroad for further studies, doesn't that mean you and Ryan will be in a long-distance relationship?" Long-distance relationships are very difficult. Nancy looked out the window at a few children playing and running, shaking her head with a light smile. "It's not a long-distance relationship. I divorced him, because Fiona came back." The director was stunned for a moment, then let out a long sigh, feeling both regretful and relieved. "Sure enough, I wasn't wrong in my initial assessment. Your marriage couldn't last long. You know, once a person still has someone else in their heart, no matter how loving they seem on the surface, it's all fake. As soon as that person comes back, the marriage is over. So it's good that you divorced." She held Nancy's hand gently, comforting her softly. Nancy smiled back and hugged the director. Yes, it was good that they divorced.